Trump is a racist. He has shown that. I just happen to be a guy that I think racism, if it's a drink, it's best served with no chaser. And Trump serves it with no chaser. Biden is going to smile at you as he's leading you into the prison industrial complex. So if people want Kamala and Biden, please vote. Just be prepared for the FEMA camps. Be prepared for the prison industrial complex.
Earlier this week, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, spoke to Democratic Republican elite cheated their way into a system built for them.
Good morning, I'm Ashlee Banks, and I have the opportunity to speak with activist Yarima Karama regarding his unconventional thoughts on Senator Harris, the Democratic National Convention, and the current state of this country. Take a look.
I want to switch gears here just a bit. Now, Biden announced Senator Harris would be his running mate. Many people were excited to hear this. And I mean, you have to admit, the thought of the first Black and Indian woman holding the position of vice president is a win for minorities. However, there are others who aren't fazed by any of this. Yarima, you being one of them, why aren't you a fan of this?
Well, I go on record, and clearly both of their records. I mean, what I'm looking at, if both of them, Biden and Harris, get elected in, what I'm looking at is Bill Clinton on steroids, and what I'm talking about is mass incarceration. Kamala has a clear history, and it's funny because somebody did a post today and said, if I didn't know who she was, if I had never seen her, I would think, if I just saw policy that she has put down, I would think white, conservative, racist, male.
Wow.
And that fits her just perfect, because when you look at prosecutors across the board, their job, what they do is to try to elevate their careers. And she has done that off the backs of poor Black communities.
Yarima,
yeah, please do.
So what do you say to those people? They would argue this, that she was a prosecutor who put people away. And people say that's what prosecutors do. And as it pertains to Biden and the crime bill, people would say that the bill did not cause mass incarceration, and instead it dealt with crime at the federal level, where most of the people who were incarcerated were done so on the state level. And then there's the point that other people make, or they simply just say that Biden and Harris are a great match because they're more qualified, much more intelligent than Trump. Two, they have experience working within the government. Biden helped restore the economy with Obama, and that's clearly what America needs now.
Had a Black president with two Black attorney generals. Michelle Obama, in her speech last night, she mentioned George Floyd. Okay, well, let's compare George Floyd with Sandra Bland, who was murdered up under Obama's watch. Let's compare Ahmaud Arbery with Trayvon Martin, with Corrine Gaines, with Terrence Crutcher, with all the others who were murdered up under Obama's watch, with two Black attorney generals in Loretta Lynch and the other guy. So, I mean, when they make those arguments as far as economy, I don't want to, there is nothing valid to back that up. When you look at the history of Joe Biden, he is a Dixiecrat. When you look at the history of the Democrats, they come from the lineage of slavery.
Now I want to ask you one last question. What do you anticipate will happen come November 3rd? Do you think that we're going to see another 4 years of Trump? Or do you think that enough people are going to come out and vote for Biden and Harris?
So if you look at their policies, you're talking about a guy, I mean, just common sense to me says, guy who's been in office for over 40 years, and us as a people are still in the same condition, and a guy who's been in office for 4 years, who had no previous political experience. I'd give my shot to him for another 4. Unfortunately, that probably won't happen.
Wow, Yarima, these are bold statements. I'm sure you know there are so many people that would completely disagree with you, saying that
Facts.
Biden and Harris are the safer bet, given, you know, the things that Trump has done and the mess he's put us in, you know, where so many people are unemployed, so many people have died under COVID, which he considered to be a hoax earlier this year. And someone who just seems to be on the side of white supremacists and fueling the racism in this country. And so it's just interesting to hear this spoken out loud. So as you know, there are so many people that would disagree with you, but we will see what happens in the next few months.
One last thing, Ashlee, I got to say this, and you talked about it, and I have to say this briefly, that whether Kamala and Biden get in or not, the fact that racism has never stopped. And I think that we are able to see their faces clearer now than before. So I would rather have racism out front and know who the enemies are, as opposed to having it masked and having somebody pat me on the back who really hates me. I think that that's a choice that people have to make. And it's the difference between, I think, some people from the North and some people from the South.
Well, thank you so much for your time. That's Yarima Karama. Thanks.
Thank you.
Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Ashlee M. Banks, and I'll catch you next time.